Vegas Weekly for Saturday, April the 11th, 2020. Hope that whatever you're celebrating this week, Easter, Passover, or just surviving another week of the pandemic, hope you have a good one. And overall, hope you're all coping with the increased confinement. Personally, I don't experience a lot of it because I'm still having to go to work, which it's a bit nerve-wracking, but at the same time, at least I get out of the house. So for those of you stuck by yourselves, certainly hope that you're hanging in there. I noticed a lot of YouTube channels doing live streams, a lot of people doing Facebook Live things, and a number of people out there having sort of virtual cocktail parties or meetups, using all the different video conferencing software out there. So I did that a little bit myself last Saturday, a couple of different events. So that was kind of fun, talking to some people around the globe about Vegas and life and such things. So good fun. I've not been able to get to all of these live streams. I mean, I know a few people that have been sort of stuck at home and said, you know, I've been in a live stream, like 5 of them today. So I haven't made it into yours lately. I apologize, but only so many hours in the day. Been working on a little bit last night and this morning, a sort of side video that I'm probably going to put out in some form either this coming week or the week after. It's a Making of Vegas Weekly video, behind the scenes of how this comes together on a weekly basis. Well, sort of, but thought it might be kind of fun, so I'll throw that together and maybe get that up on Wednesday. And we're probably going to join the live stream team at some point over the next week or two, just because people seem to enjoy the opportunity to spend some time together. And speaking of spending time together and having a virtual cocktail party, it's important to have some real cocktails. And as always, we've got your cocktail of the week. And once again, featuring our friend PJ, not professional bartender, checking out a very unusual new cocktail this week. So take it away, PJ.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cocktail of the Week with your host and not a professional bartender, PJ.
Hey John, thanks again for another fabulous introduction to Cocktail of the Week. And by the way, I just want to say thanks again for allowing me to bring this segment to your show. I think everybody likes it. I know I like it. I think you like it. I know the cocktails like it because they taste fabulous. Yeah, we'll go with that. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cocktail of the Week. This week we are going to make what's called the Tipsy Turtle. Only 4 ingredients in this drink: white rum, blue curacao, pineapple juice, and a pina colada mix. We'll garnish that off with an orange. We'll put that in a fabulous hurricane glass. Now, stay tuned. We'll be right back with all the ingredients, and we'll put this puppy together, and we'll put a little of it right here. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back. All right, let's put this puppy in the container. In our shaker, as a matter of fact. First of all, let's drop in a couple of lovely ice cubes. Alrighty, now we're going to start off with some white rum. 1 ounce. 1 ounce blue curacao. Alrighty, 3 ounces of pineapple juice. And 1 ounce of pina colada mix. Pop that on the top, and let's give it a shake. And a little to the left, And a little to the right. You can see it's probably starting to chill up nicely. Alrighty. Let's bring our glass in. Oh! Gotta have some more of these beautiful, beautiful gems of ice. And yes, I have washed my hands. Come on, pop that breaky. Alright, here's to do it. Now let's get to the best part of the show. Second best part of the show. Puppy's itching to come out. Here we go. Also, just want to let you know that these drinks, especially the sweet ones like this, just don't. I got to start making doubles so I can get this glass to fill up nicely. I was going to say, this would make for a very tasty shot. All right. Wow. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I am not a professional bartender. But we'll garnish that on there like so. And ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a Tipsy turtle. How does it taste? We're about to find out. Man, I am picking some great cocktails. This is another winner, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's called the Tipsy Turtle. White rum, blue curacao, pineapple juice, and a pina colada mix. Shaken and not stirred. Ask your favorite bartender. He can make you a Tipsy Turtle. If they don't know what it is, I suggest you take a snapshot at the end of this of the ingredients and have your bartender make you one of these. I think you're going to like it. And hey, why not get it in shots for your friends? All right, with that, that is another episode of Cocktail of the Week. John, back to you. And by the way, cheers. I think I'll be taking this one with me too.
All right, thanks for that fun cocktail, the Tipsy Turtle. Perhaps that should be the title of this week's episode because everything seems to have a alcohol or a celebratory theme to it. I'm going to start off with the Vegas news story of the week. And of course, as everywhere, the Vegas news story pretty much revolves around the virus, pandemic, and our reactions to it. One of the things Vegas has always been known for is very liberal liquor laws. Ooh. That was very alliterative. Shall I do it again? Liberal liquor laws. And in this time of crisis, there is no exception to that. While some states are closing down bars and liquor stores and leaving people high and dry, literally, not in Las Vegas. Restaurants that sell alcohol are allowed to deliver alcohol to you. It's a nice touch. Liquor stores themselves can deliver to you directly, even though they're closed. So if you need some supplies from Lee's Discount Liquor, for example, you can order that up and they will bring it directly to your door. Hey, I don't know, will they do that at 1 a.m.? That's for some reason the time I'm always looking for some extra. And this weekend, I guess the way I'm just justifying this as a news segment is there's been another little liberalization to allow some of the bars and restaurants to stay afloat at this time. And that is there's some brew pubs out there that apparently weren't really serving any sort of food. And so they've gotten this sort of very limited food license that allows them to essentially run the little hot dog roller bars or maybe sell some nachos or some frozen sandwiches. And you can now drive up to these brew pubs, and they will bring you out their 2 or 3 hot dogs and a growler of beer or whatever it is you might be picking up. So another way that Las Vegas is coping with this pandemic, and it definitely involves alcohol. So how is your state, your locality, dealing with the pandemic as far as the availability of alcohol? Again, I know some states have closed liquor stores or barred off access to, quote, non-essential products. So do you have free liquor delivery in your state? Probably not, but I would be curious to see how you all are coping, and are you running low on those valuable liquor supplies? Hopefully not. All right, so today's Vegas tip or trick is part of our 10-part series of my top 10 Vegas tips or tricks. And today we're going to do an old favorite, and one that gets beaten to death, but I think it probably belongs, and that is the sort of, as it's known, the $20 trick. But it could be the $40 trick, the $50 trick, the $100 trick. You insert the amount. And for those of you who are real novices to the game, when you check into any hotel in Las Vegas, you're going to be asked for your identification, driver's license, passport, whatever, and a major credit card so that they can hold incidentals, so you can charge to your room, or in case you do some damage to your room. Well, the $20 trick or $20 technique involves discreetly slipping a bill between your identification and your credit card. And as you slide it over to the clerk, you ask if there are any complimentary upgrades available. Now, in the best case scenario, the clerk knowingly winks back at you and begins typing away on their little computer. I don't know what they do on those computers, but it seems like it takes a lot of work just to get a hotel room. But in any case, they type away for a while, and they look at this, they look at that, they might get on the phone, maybe they go talk to one of their supervisors, and they come back and they go, "Sir, I've upgraded you to our presidential suite," which of course is your dream scenario. And so the nice clerk pockets the $20 or whatever it might be, and you get a free upgrade. Now, for obvious reasons, some people criticize the $20 trick. One of which is that, let's be honest, it's pretty much bribery. If you normally go into a store and slip the clerk an extra $5, $10, $20 and tell them that you'd like to pay for the premium item, but you only want to pay the basic price, not only would you get laughed out of the store, but in addition, the clerk would almost certainly get fired if they did it. So, you know, they don't own the hotel rooms. They just work for the hotel. So if they're giving you an upgrade that you don't deserve, just because you gave them money, it's not really fair to the hotel or to the other guests who may not know the trick. That's a criticism. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it is a criticism. And the other criticism is, well, it doesn't really work. What works is you being charming and pleasant and friendly, and the rooms being available, and you don't really need to tip them. Which is probably true, although some of these folks will say that after the fact they don't object to giving the clerk a gratuity if they went out of their way to help you with an upgrade. An upgrade isn't always an upgraded room class. It might just be a room on a higher floor with a better view. In some cases you may not be able to get a room upgrade, but perhaps they'll cancel out your resort fees or give you some sort of food credit. Of course, it's important to remember that they can't give you an upgrade that doesn't exist. So if you check into a hotel room when it's very busy on a busy Friday night weekend, there may simply not be any rooms available to upgrade you to. Not sure about the grammar of that one, but yeah, we'll just move on. And so they can't upgrade you to a room that's already filled. So it's going to work better, significantly better, if you check in at a slower time. It tends to work better if you're only going to be there for a short time. There are stories of people getting ridiculous upgrades when they were just staying overnight. So the longer your stay, the more difficult it's going to be to find room availability at a somewhat higher level. if you're going to do it, it doesn't hurt to have some knowledge of the hotel's room categories. Certainly in Vegas, where most of the hotels have thousands of rooms, there are a lot of room categories. If you're booked into a basic room and you want to be upgraded to a premium room or a king suite or whatever, it doesn't hurt to know the hotel's nomenclature for those rooms. Sort of identifies you as a guest in the know, maybe a loyal customer, but also it gives the clerk something to look for. Instead of just sort of randomly looking for upgrade, they can go king suite, anything available. Ah, there's no one going to be in like 20 of these king suites, so we're going to get this guy into it. I tried this exactly once and it didn't kind of work. I'm uncomfortable with this stuff. You know, if you're not, great. But I sort of fumbled around with the bill and the cards and didn't, mention the upgrade, and the clerk almost immediately said, well, I can't really upgrade you, although they ended up actually upgrading me. It was at the Palms, and I think their thought was that I wanted to be in the fantasy tower, and I was just in the basic tower. But I did end up in like a corner suite, which really wasn't a corner suite. It was more of just a corner room. It was an older, sort of more worn room, but it was kind of an upgrade. For me, I would just rather pay for the room that I want to get so that I know I'm going to get it. But I know a lot of people swear by the trick, and it definitely can work. There's like a whole website devoted to this. I think it's like Front Desk something. I'm not going to look it up. You can check on it. If you hunt for $20 trick on Google, I'm sure it'll pop up. And different people have different definitions of how well something works. If you invest $20 or $40, you want to feel like you've got something for your money. So some of the people on the website that talk about their upgrades, I'm not that impressed with their upgrades. So should you do it? It's a gamble. There have been clerks that, will just pocket the money and say, sorry, can't help you. Or they may say they're going to help you and you end up in a worse room or the same room you were going to get anyway. So it's often referred to by people as the first gamble of the trip. If you enjoy the process, hey, give it a shot. Just keep in mind that a lot of hotels frown on this process, and a lot of them are to the point where, if a supervisor sees somebody taking money prior to checking people in, they could actually get in trouble. Potentially even get terminated. So, should you or shouldn't you? I don't know. That's up to you. But it's definitely a trick that has worked for people, so it makes it into our top 10 Vegas tips or tricks. Today's day in Vegas history is a pretty exciting one, particularly if you're a sports fan. It was 30 years ago, as of April the 9th, that the city of Las Vegas celebrated the only major championship in the city's history. Obviously, a couple of years ago, the Golden Knights got very close to winning the Stanley Cup, but unfortunately fell short. But prior to there being, NHL hockey, prior to the NFL coming to town, prior to the UFC and different events like that, basically Vegas had prize fights, which were a huge deal, boxing, and they had the UNLV Runnin' Rebels, who throughout certainly the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s were a very, very big deal. And 30 years ago this past Thursday is the anniversary of UNLV's one and only national championship. And what a national championship it was. They routed Duke by 30 points in the finals. Coached by legendary and somewhat shady coach Jerry Tarkanian, who has a statue in front of the Thomas and Mack Center, and the court is named after him as well. UNLV was quite a juggernaut for a number of seasons. They would go undefeated the next year until they came face-to-face with Duke again and would lose in the national semifinals. But it was certainly one of the great college basketball teams of all time. Tarkanian, despite the fact that he clearly bent the rules as far as player benefits, recruiting, academics, to some degree, was a very, very successful coach and a very, very smart guy. It can't be easy to recruit 17, 18-year-old kids to Las Vegas, not because they don't want to come, but because their parents may not. But UNLV was a glamour school for a while, and it was certainly the first time that any team in Las Vegas had risen to national prominence. I actually have an old UNLV t-shirt from that time period somewhere that I used to wear pretty regularly, and there was a great celebrity following to that team as well. So a lot of tremendous players on that team. Actually, I actually looked up the roster. In addition to the coach, Tarkanian, who is a Hall of Fame coach, you had Larry Johnson, who would go on to a pretty successful NBA career with the Charlotte Hornets and later the New York Knicks, cut short by some injuries. He was a pretty well-known athlete in the early 90s with his Converse commercials and the sort of Grandmama alias. So very successful career there. A couple of times he was an all-star. Stacey Augmon, one of my favorite players, just a really good defensive player, ran the floor extremely well, had a 15-year career in the NBA, though he was not super successful as far as scoring and making all-star teams, that sort of thing. But and he continues to be in the NBA in some form. He went into coaching after his career and is currently in player development with the Sacramento Kings at last call. Greg Anthony, a fairly successful NBA career as well, certainly in the early years with the New York Knicks. And he would sort of bounce around for a while before retiring. He got into broadcasting and can be seen fairly regularly on CBS, Turner, NBA Network, doing both college and professional games. A couple of the other players, Anderson Hunt, who was the most outstanding player of that particular Final Four, and David Butler. I had to refer to my notes because I always forget his name, as well as George Ackles, who was a pretty prominent player off the bench. They would go on to play professional basketball, but not in the NBA. So all these folks are still alive. Another notable name on that team was bench was David Rice, or Dave Rice, who would go on to eventually coach at UNLV for a few years before getting fired. It is fair to say that for a while this was a glamour program, and it might as well have been Las Vegas's first professional sport. And so just remembering the UNLV Running Rebels, and they certainly were running rebels, and they certainly influenced teams to follow, including the Fab Five, and they played a different brand of basketball that was fun to watch and continues to be to this day. So that's this week in Vegas history. Okay, everybody, as always, I want to thank you for watching the show. It probably got a little longer than usual. It's probably going to be the standard 15 minutes plus the cocktail show, because for some reason that's just how long my body allows me to talk. Again, remember, we're going to do a sort of making of video on this program, so watch for that. Watch for future live streams. In any case, hope all of you are staying safe at home and dealing with this situation as best you can. Until next week, I hope that you have a great, healthy, and lucky week. And we will see you soon.